Maya's phone wouldn't stop vibrating in her back pocket, like it was panicking for her. Her iced Starbucks on the hood of her beat-up Civic had gone watery and warm, the plastic cup sweating into a dark ring on the paint. Across the parking lot, a line of motorcycles sat angled like they owned the whole afternoon. Leather vests, heavy boots, patches that said Hell's Angels in red and white. Ava, Maya's 8-year-old, stood half behind her leg with both hands locked around the strap of her too big backpack. Her chin shook like she was trying to keep her teeth from rattling. Someone swung a leg over a bike. Another guy laughed and said something Maya couldn't hear, but she felt it anyway, like a shove. Ava took one tiny step forward, voice thin but loud enough to cut through the noise. "Don't start your bikes." The whole row went still. Even the guy with his hand on the throttle froze, like somebody had pulled the plug on the day. And Maya realized Ava wasn't talking to them like a kid asking. Ava was begging. Maya lived on the east side of Columbus, in a 2-bedroom apartment that always smelled faintly like old cooking oil no matter how many candles she lit. The building wasn't dangerous in a dramatic way. It was the kind of place where people avoided eye contact in the hallway because everyone was tired, and nobody wanted to borrow trouble. She worked mornings at a dental office as a front desk receptionist. It wasn't a bad job, but it was the kind of job that pretended it was stable while constantly reminding her it could replace her. She smiled into phones and scheduled cleanings for people who sounded relaxed, people who could call and cancel without sweating what it meant. Then she clocked out and drove to a second job 3 nights a week cleaning a co-working space downtown. Most nights, she didn't feel like she had a life. She felt like she had a calendar she was chasing. Her bank app had become a habit she hated. She checked it the way some people checked the weather, like maybe the numbers would change if she looked often enough. Every time she opened it, her stomach tightened first, then her chest, then her throat. Ava had started noticing. Not the money, exactly. Kids didn't always understand money. Ava understood the way Maya's voice got tighter when she said, "Maybe." Ava understood the way Maya held her breath at the mailbox, as if bills could smell fear. Ava understood the way Maya's laugh came later than it used to, like it had to get permission. Ava's dad, Marcus, wasn't a villain. That was almost the worst part. If he'd been cruel or loud, Maya could have turned him into a clean story. But Marcus was just absent in a soft, confusing way. He'd come around less and less after the split. At first he missed weekends, then birthdays, then whole months. He always had reasons that sounded reasonable if you said them fast. Work. His car. Stress. Needing time. Maya didn't talk bad about him in front of Ava. She didn't want Ava to grow up with that bitterness planted in her, like a seed that would eventually crack something. But she also didn't know how to explain the quiet kind of disappointment, the kind that didn't shout but still changed the shape of your days. Ava asked about him sometimes, in the middle of unrelated things. While brushing her teeth, she'd say, "Do you think Daddy still has my picture in his wallet?" Like it was a science question. Like there was a right answer. Maya would say, "Of course," because anything else felt like pushing a kid into cold water. On a Tuesday in early October, Maya got a notice taped crooked on their door. It was thin paper, but it landed in her life like a brick. The rent was going up again. Not by a little. By enough that it erased any fantasy she still carried about catching up. She stood in the hallway reading it twice, like the words might rearrange into something kinder if she stared long enough. Her cheeks burned, and she couldn't tell if it was anger or shame. She pulled the paper down and folded it too neatly, like neatness could control what was happening. Inside, Ava was on the carpet building a city out of plastic blocks. She made little neighborhoods and pointed out where the hospital was, where the school was. She'd been doing that more lately, building worlds where things had places and rules. Maya put her keys on the counter and stood there, hands still on the ring, like she'd forgotten how to let go. "What's that?" Ava asked without looking up. Just grown-up stuff, Maya said, forcing the casual tone she used when she didn't want fear to spread. Ava looked up anyway. Her eyes were too watchful for 8. You're doing the tight face. Maya swallowed. She hated that Ava had noticed a tight face. She crouched down and smoothed Ava's hair back from her forehead. I'm okay, Maya said, and it was true in the small way it could be true. She was standing. She was here. She had a kid who built pretend hospitals because she still believed people helped each other. Ava's teacher had emailed that morning too. Ava had been withdrawn, the message said. Seems anxious in group activities. Might be worth checking in. Maya read it in her car on lunch break, the screen reflecting onto her face. She sat in the office parking lot with the engine off, watching other people walk in with their coffee and their clean scrubs. She imagined what it must feel like to have one job and go home and just be home. That afternoon, on the drive to pick Ava up from after-school care, the radio played a segment about a big motorcycle event happening downtown that weekend. Some charity ride connected to a hospital fundraiser. The host sounded cheerful, like it was just a fun local thing. Thousands expected, he said. Road closures, food trucks, live music. Maya barely listened, but the words, downtown, and road closures, settled into her mind like another inconvenience she couldn't afford. By Friday, her week had worn her down into something thin. She moved through the day like she was carrying a tray of glass, trying not to spill, trying not to shake. That evening, Ava sat at the tiny kitchen table coloring, tongue slightly out in concentration. Maya stirred boxed mac and cheese because it was quick and it wouldn't start a fight with the budget. Mama, Ava said, are we moving? Maya's arm paused mid-stir. Why would you ask that? Ava shrugged, but it was a practiced shrug. Because you were looking at your phone like you wanted to cry. Maya's throat tightened so fast it surprised her. She turned the burner down and leaned a hip against the counter, forcing herself to breathe. We're not moving right now, Maya said carefully. Sometimes adults just figure things out. Ava nodded slowly, like she was filing that away. Then she pointed her crayon at the paper. I'm making a sign. A sign for what? For when people are loud, Ava said, simple as that. So they stop. Maya stared at her daughter for a long moment. Ava didn't look scared when she said it. She looked practical. And Maya felt a weird, sharp fear she couldn't name. Because the world was loud in ways a sign couldn't fix, and Ava had already learned to brace for it. On Saturday, Maya had to take Ava with her to the downtown co-working space because her usual sitter canceled last minute. She hated it, hated dragging her kid into adult hours and adult stress, but she couldn't afford to lose the shift. They parked 2 blocks away because of the closures. The air smelled like exhaust, fried food, and something metallic. In the distance, engines rumbled in heavy, chest-level waves. Ava gripped Maya's hand tighter the closer they got. Maya tried to walk like everything was normal. Like the sound didn't bother her. Like she wasn't already calculating how fast they could get inside. Then they rounded the corner into the parking lot, rows of motorcycles, men in leather, patches that caught the eye whether you wanted them to or not, and Maya felt Ava stop walking. Ava's breath turned small and quick. And that was the moment Maya saw it. Ava wasn't just nervous. Ava recognized something about this noise. Maya bent down, heart thudding, and started to ask what was wrong. But Ava stepped forward first, trembling, and said, "Don't start your bikes." For a half-second after Ava spoke, Maya thought she imagined the silence. The engines had been loud enough to blur thought, to vibrate in her chest. And then suddenly there was just the low hiss of a bike idling and the distant beep of a crosswalk signal. A man with a gray beard and a vest faded almost pink from years of sun looked down at Ava. His hand was still resting on the handlebar, but his fingers loosened. He didn't smile. He didn't frown either. He just crouched a little, like he was trying to meet her where she stood without making it a thing. "Hey kid," he said, voice rough but quiet.
Nobody's starting anything yet.
Maya felt her knees go weak with relief and embarrassment at the same time. She pulled Ava back against her leg, apologizing already, words tumbling out too fast. "I'm so sorry. She gets anxious around loud noises. We'll move. We're just trying to get inside. I didn't mean."
The man raised a hand, palm open.
"You're fine," he said. Then, to Ava, "You okay there?" Ava nodded, but her eyes stayed fixed on the bikes like they might wake up and chase her. "They're really loud," she said. "They make my chest hurt." That did something to him. Maya saw it in the way his jaw shifted, like he'd bitten down on a thought. He stood up and glanced back at the other riders. A few of them were watching now, not with anger, but curiosity. One woman leaned against her bike, arms crossed, her eyes soft in a way Maya hadn't expected. "Kill the engines," the gray-bearded man said, not loudly. Not like an order. More like a decision that had already been made. One by one, the engines clicked off. The noise drained away in pieces until the lot felt strangely hollow. Ava's shoulders dropped. She let out a breath she'd been holding so long it came out shaky. Maya swallowed hard. "Thank you," she said, and meant more than just the moment. She meant for seeing her kid as a kid. For not laughing. For not turning it into a lesson.
The woman by the bike stepped closer.
She had lines around her eyes and a small silver stud in her nose. "My grandson's like that," she said.
Fire alarms, sirens.
"Takes him a while to calm down." Ava looked up at her. "Does he get scared too?" "Yeah," the woman said. "But he's brave about it. So are you." Ava blinked, like that word had landed somewhere new. Maya felt something loosen inside her chest.
Not all the way. Just enough to breathe.
"We won't be long," Maya said.
Y Ave toclean upstairs.
"She can sit with her headphones." "No rush," the gray-bearded man said.
We're waiting anyway.
"Charity ride doesn't roll out for another 20. Maya hesitated. She didn't trust moments like this. Life had taught her they usually came with a catch. But there was none in his face. Just a tired kind of kindness that looked practiced, not performative. They walked toward the building entrance, and Ava glanced back once.
The man gave her a small nod, like a promise.
Inside, the co-working space smelled like lemon cleaner and coffee grounds.
The fluorescent lights hummed softly.
Ava perched on a couch near the windows with her tablet and headphones while Maya grabbed her supplies. As she wiped down desks, Maya's mind replayed the parking lot over and over. The way Ava had stepped forward. The way the noise had stopped. The way grown adults had listened to a trembling kid. She didn't know why it hit her so hard, but it did. She'd been carrying this quiet belief that the world was mostly too busy to notice people like them. That if you needed accommodation, you were asking for too much. When she finished, Ava tugged on her sleeve. "Mama, can we wait a minute before we go back out?" "Of course," Maya said, heart tightening again. They stood by the glass doors. Outside, the riders were talking in small groups now, helmets off, drinks in hand. It looked almost normal.
Just people killing time.
The woman with the nose stud caught sight of Ava and waved her over. Ava looked at Maya for permission. Maya nodded. They stepped outside. The air felt cooler now that the engines were quiet. "You did good," the woman told Ava.
You said your words.
Ava nodded. "My school counselor says that."
The gray-bearded man laughed softly.
"Smart counselor." He looked at Maya then. "You're raising her right." Maya felt the urge to deflect, to joke it away, but something stopped her. "I'm trying," she said honestly. He nodded like that answer mattered. That's all any of us ever do. They talked for a few minutes about nothing important. School. Traffic.
De Fandraser.
It was small talk, but it felt like a bridge. Ava stood a little straighter. When it was time to leave, the man waited until they were halfway across the lot before he restarted his bike. The sound came back, but it didn't hit Ava the same way. She flinched, but she didn't freeze. In the car, Ava pressed her forehead to the window.
Mama.
Yeah, baby. They listened to me. Maya's throat closed. They did. Ava smiled, small and unsure. Maybe people aren't always too loud. That night, Maya lay awake long after Ava fell asleep, the apartment quiet except for the refrigerator kicking on and off like it was clearing its throat. Ava had insisted on sleeping with her door cracked open, a thin line of hallway light stretching across her bedroom floor. Maya left it that way. She didn't have the heart to close it. She stared at the ceiling and replayed the sound of Ava's voice in the parking lot. Don't start your bikes. Not loud.
Not demanding.
Just honest. Maya felt something sharp and uncomfortable settle in her chest. Because Ava hadn't learned that courage from nowhere. She'd learned it from watching Maya hold things together without ever admitting they were heavy. The next week hit harder than usual. At the dental office, the manager pulled Maya aside and mentioned budget adjustments.
Nothing official.
Just enough to plant a seed of dread. At the co-working space, 2 of her shifts were cut because a company moved out. On Wednesday, Maya sat in her car after work, hands resting on the steering wheel, staring at nothing. The sky was already dark, even though it was barely 6. Her phone buzzed.
Marcus' name lit up the screen.
She didn't answer at first. She watched it ring out, then buzz again with a text. Hey. Been meaning to check in. How's Ava?
Maya laughed short and humorless.
How's Ava? Like Ava was a weather report. Like she existed separately from the weeks of silence. She typed back slowly. She's okay. School's been hard.
Loud noises bother her.
The 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Yeah, she was always sensitive. I was thinking maybe I could take her one weekend soon. Things have been crazy, but I'm trying to get settled. Maya closed her eyes. There it was. Always trying. Always almost. Her chest felt tight, like something was pressing from the inside. She imagined Ava waiting by the window on a Saturday that might never come. Imagined explaining again why plans changed. Before she could overthink it, Maya typed. If you're going to say it, mean it. She notices when you don't. The dots didn't come back. Maya set the phone face down on the passenger seat. Her hands started to shake, and she hated that too. Hated that even now, even after everything, part of her still wanted a response that would make it easier. When she picked Ava up from after-school care, the director asked to talk. They sat in a small office that smelled like dry erase markers and coffee. Ava had been having panic episodes during fire drills, the director explained gently. Crying. Covering her ears. Freezing. Maya nodded, feeling like she was watching herself from a distance. We're working on it, she said. She sees the school counselor. The director smiled kindly. She's a great kid. This isn't a problem. It's just something to pay attention to. On the drive home, Ava was quiet. Too quiet. Mama, she said finally, eyes forward. Did I do something wrong at school?
Maya's heart cracked a little. No.
Why would you think that? Because adults talk in offices when kids do something wrong. Maya pulled over without thinking, hazard lights blinking. She turned fully in her seat and took Ava's hands. Listen to me, she said, voice steady even though her insides weren't. Your feelings are not wrong. Ever. Being scared doesn't mean you're bad. Ava's lip trembled. But I don't want to be a problem. Maya swallowed hard. That word again. Problem. She realized how often she'd used it about herself. About money. About needing help. You are not a problem, Maya said, more firmly. And neither am I. That night, Maya opened her laptop and stared at the screen. Rent listings.
Cheaper apartments farther out.
Longer commutes. Different schools. Each option felt like giving something up. She opened her email and reread the message from Ava's teacher. Then she did something she'd been avoiding for months. She searched for community resources. Not miracles. Just help. She found a local support group for parents of anxious kids. Free.
Wednesday nights.
She almost closed the tab, her instinct to handle things alone flaring up, but then she remembered the parking lot. Remembered engines shutting off because someone had asked. At the next session, Maya sat in a folding chair in a church basement, hands clenched in her lap. Other parents talked. Some cried. Some joked darkly. Nobody judged. When it was her turn, Maya surprised herself by telling the truth. About the jobs. The rent. The noise. Ava's fear. Her own. Her voice shook, but it didn't break. On the way home, she felt wrung out but lighter.
Likes she to put something down.
Later that week, Marcus finally replied. I didn't mean it like that. I just need time. Maya stared at the message for a long moment. Then she typed. Ava doesn't need time. She needs consistency. If you can't be that, say so. She hit send before fear could stop her. The reply didn't come. Maya cried that night. Quietly. Not because she was surprised, but because saying it out loud made it real. The breaking point wasn't a fight or a slammed door. It was clarity. The next morning, Ava watched her carefully over breakfast.
Are you okay, Mama?
Maya took a breath. I'm sad, she said. But I'm okay. And we're okay. Ava nodded slowly. Like when I'm scared but still go to school? Maya smiled through tears. Exactly like that. Change didn't arrive all at once. It came in pieces so small Maya almost missed them. The first was a phone call on a Thursday afternoon while she was wiping down the front desk at the dental office. A patient had canceled last minute, and the quiet felt heavy. Her phone buzzed in her apron pocket.
An unfamiliar number.
She almost let it go to voicemail. Almost. Hello. Hi, is this Maya? A woman asked. Her voice was calm, professional. This is Renee from the Downtown Children's Clinic. You filled out an intake form online about support services for anxiety. Maya closed her eyes. She had filled it out late one night, half convinced nothing would come of it. Yes, she said carefully. We had an opening, Renee continued. It's a group program, low cost, sliding scale. I wanted to see if you were still interested. Maya felt her chest tighten, not with fear this time, but relief so sudden it scared her. Yes, she said. Very. That night, she told Ava while they folded laundry together. Ava lined socks up in careful pairs, like order helped her think. Does that mean I'm broken? Ava asked, not accusing, just honest. No, Maya said. It means we're learning tools. Like how you learn math or reading. Ava considered this. Tools are good, she said. Tools fix stuff. They walked to the clinic the following week. It was in a low brick building with a mural of animals on the side. Inside, the air smelled like crayons and hand sanitizer. Ava clutched Maya's hand at first, but she didn't pull away when another kid sat beside her. Maya sat in the parent room with a paper cup of coffee, listening to other adults talk about things that sounded familiar. Fire alarms. Crowds. Nightmares. The relief of not being the only one felt almost unreal. Money was still tight. That didn't magically change. Maya still counted hours. Still scanned receipts. But she started making different choices, not out of panic, but intention. She talked to her landlord instead of avoiding him. The conversation wasn't warm, but it was honest. She negotiated a shorter lease extension to buy time. She applied for a different position at the dental office, billing instead of front desk. More responsibility. Slightly more pay. When she got the email offering her the job, she cried in the break room, pressing a paper towel to her face. Ava noticed the shift before Maya named it. "You don't do the tight face as much," Ava said one evening as they sat on the couch, legs tangled together.
Maya laughed softly.
"I still do it sometimes." "Yeah," Ava said. "But not all the time." Marcus didn't disappear entirely. He sent a birthday card late. He texted sporadically. But he didn't make promises he couldn't keep anymore. And Maya stopped filling in the silence for him. When Ava asked, "Is Daddy coming this weekend?" Maya answered, honestly, "I don't know," she said. "But we have plans either way." And they did. Library trips.
Pancake Saturdays.
Small rituals that didn't depend on anyone else showing up. One Saturday morning, as they waited for the bus downtown, a motorcycle rumbled past the stop. Ava stiffened, just a little. Maya felt it immediately. "It's okay," Maya said gently. "We've got tools." Ava nodded. She put her hands over her ears for a second, took a breath like she'd been taught, and lowered them again. "That one wasn't so bad," Ava said. Maya smiled, pride warming her chest. Later that day, they walked through the same parking lot where it had all happened weeks before. The lot was empty now, quiet except for leaves skittering across the pavement. Ava slowed, looking around. "This is where they listened," she said. Maya nodded. "It is." Ava thought about that. "Do you think they remember me?" "Maybe," Maya said. "But even if they don't, you remember. And I do." Ava reached for Maya's hand, not because she was scared, but because it felt good to be connected. That night, after Ava fell asleep, Maya sat at the kitchen table with her laptop open. She wrote a short post in a local parenting group, not dramatic, not polished. Just honest. About noise. About fear. About the day a group of strangers chose kindness. The comments came in slowly. Then more. People sharing their own moments. Their own kids. Their own parking lots. Maya closed the laptop feeling something she hadn't felt in a long time. Not victory. Belonging. Life didn't turn into a highlight reel. Bills still came. Some days were still heavy. But Maya no longer felt like she was bracing alone. Ava's last words that night echoed in Maya's mind. Ava had looked up at her, serious as ever, and said, "Mama, when I grow up, I want to listen when people are scared." Maya had kissed her forehead and said, "Me too." And that felt like enough.